Our work is entitled Gender Equality Policies in Research and Innovation, a comparative analysis of Italy, Japan, Spain, Sweden, Switzerland, the United Kingdom, and the Netherlands, performed by the Research and Gender Commission at RAICEX, the network of Spanish researchers abroad. This work is being carried out by 7 members of our commission, but of course represents the whole commission at RAICEX. Our first author is Fayna García-Martín from University of La Rioja, Spain, and Hokkaido University in Japan, and she is a member of the Association of Spanish Researchers in this country. Tania Ramos Moreno is Manager of Development in Cell Therapies, researcher and lecturer, and a board member of the Association of Spanish Researchers in Sweden. Rocio Fuente-Pérez is a professor and researcher at University of Zurich in Switzerland and University of Oviedo in Spain. Isabel Nogués is a member of the Italian National Research Council in Rome, Italy, and she is also the vice president of the Association of Spanish Researchers in Italy. María José Martínez-Bravo is an associate lecturer at the School of Pharmacy, University College London, chair of Women and Science Committee of the Association of Spanish Researchers in the United Kingdom. Noelia Lozano-Vidal is the project manager and chair of the Commission of Gender and Research at RAICEX. And myself, Ortega Paíno, I'm the CNIO Biobank Scientific Director and Secretary General of this network, RAICEX. We can see on our first slide the representation and location of the 7 countries involved in the study. The green dots and the red dots, based on the legend in the bottom part of this slide, represent the percentage of women involved either in the whole research community or in STEM careers. If we zoom in, we can see that the percentage varies from the Nordic country, where 46% of the population of the global population are women in all these research fields, compared to Japan, where only 16.6, nearly 17% of the population are women in research.
The percentage of women in the course of the scientific career is shaped as the so-called scissor graph in all the 7 countries of this study. We have pulled the data of women in different academic positions for the last year that this data was available. And as you can see, the percentage of women before obtaining a PhD degree is above or near 50% in the case of the European countries, while in Japan is still low, below 40%. However, in all these countries, there is a clear loss of women along the career, ranging from 10 to 34% at grade A, equivalent to full professorship. This points to the persistence of a gender gap that is still unsolved.
In Italy, there is no specific policy to contrast the low number of women in academics. However, there are some recommendations and guidelines by different institutional bodies like the Ministry of Education, University and Research, and the Conference of Italian University Rectors. Moreover, each university and research center has recently developed or is currently developing a gender balance plan, because the European Commission has set it as a criterion for public organizations to participate and get funding under the Horizon Europe program. On the other hand, as you can see in the slide written in red, some efforts have been made to incentivize young women to choose STEM studies at the university.
Japan has carried out many actions trying to increase the number of female researchers. Since the Cabinet Office and the Ministry of Education and Science drew up the first basic plan for science, its 5-year plan included measures to increase the percentage of women researchers step by step. In the first plan, aimed at securing employment and improving the working environment for women. In the second plan, included measures to encourage women researchers to return to academia after childcare. The third one set a clear numerical target, 25%, for the recruitment of female researchers in all life science disciplines. And the fourth one was designed to maintain those measures and raise the recruitment rate to 30%. As the ratio of female researchers was still far from the 30%, the fifth one aimed to maintain the increase in the recruitment rate. In parallel to those ministry plans, the Gender Equality Office and the Cabinet Office launched a basic plan for gender equality. Since 2006, science has been included in the equality plan with measures such as the promotion of role models of female scientists, support for returning to work after childcare, and the promotion of science studies for girls and young women.
If we talk about the policies taken in Spain, in the last 15 years, there has been a clear evolution of equality policies in R&D&I in our country. A very clear example is the report published by the Women Observatory from the Ministry of Science and Innovation, published by April this year. This evolution has been influenced by the regulatory impulse at the national level, and this turned out as a result as well of the Organic Act 3-2007, in which has been reflected for real an effective equality plan between women and men. Apart from the Spanish Organic Act, several different initiatives and recommendations from the European Union framework have helped to reach this goal. As a first step, problems should be and has been detected, and measures has been taken to tackle these differences. It is very important to increase the balanced presence of women and men in all areas and levels, as well as the important to avoid biases and direct and indirect discrimination, and to meet the needs of all people through the results of science and innovation. The latest achievements to reach this purpose has been the two complementary decrees that regulate compensation by gender across their workforces and the need from companies to draw up negotiated equality plans. This has been translated into the Equality Plan Decree, Royal Decree 901-2020, and Equal Pay Decree, Royal Decree 902-2020. Unfortunately, up to date, the wage gap between men and women remains about 20% in Spain.
In order to fight against gender inequality, the government of Sweden created the Law of Gender Equality in 1991. 6 years after the creation of this law, the goals for gender equality in academia were mentioned for the first time, and 2 years later, in 1991, a reform in scoring curricula for promoting candidates in academia was introduced and teaching started to be recognized. The law of gender equality was then changed to the law of discrimination in 2010. This new law included discrimination related to other paradigms, and the question still remains on whether the focus on gender equality will diminish or not. Recommendations target also the importance of culture at work. To be noted is that in Sweden, each institution is responsible for implementing the law, and the government's goal is to recruit 50% of women to hold professorships by 2030.
Although Switzerland is a very healthy country where women and men share equal rights, gender gap is still a problem, and 70% of the population declare that gender equality is a priority for them. The fact that women first got the right to vote in Switzerland only in 1971, and in some cantons only 30 years ago, shows how conservative this country is in terms of gender equality. Another late but very important decision was the introduction of maternity leave and domestic violence criminalization. Some important measures that affect women in academia are the first, mandatory female quota and in all supervisory boards, and the creation of prime grants, which this year had an investment of more than $30 million only for women grants.
In the United Kingdom, there has been a lack of national policies to promote gender equality in research and academia. In 1999, the Athena project was launched with the purpose of advance and promote the careers of women in science, engineering, and technology in higher education and research, and to achieve a significant increase in the number of women recruited to top posts in the UK. In 2005, the project was expanded to Athena Scientific Women's Academic Network, SWAN, which basically is awarding the different universities with bronze, silver, or gold medal according to the different achievements they can demonstrate in order to promote gender equality within their institution. Actually, in 2005, the National Institute of Health and Health Research requires the Athena Swan Silver Award as a prerequisite for applying for competitive biomedical research center funding.
Despite the low numbers in female participation in senior academic positions, the Dutch society does not consider that gender equality is an urgent political or social problem. At a governmental level, the policies have focused in topics as emancipation and equal treatment, but design, application and evaluation of those rely on academic institutions and civil organizations. For instance, some universities have implemented policies of females first in their application processes, or created funding and mentoring programs for women in early career positions. These have been usually followed by controversy, as some departments have been reluctant to apply measures. Also, former participants in those programs reported that cultural stereotypes in the laboratory have persisted and perceived that these have halted their progression towards higher positions.
In these final slides, we are making a comparison of indicators of the selected countries of study. The good indicators in almost every country of this study are the collection of data. This is very important because it helps to understand the past and actual situation. Further, the national equality plans of the government include research and innovation. Also, in the last years, we are observing progress in including the gender dimension in the research projects. About no so good indicators for the countries of study is about the percentage of female researchers that still we have to admit there is a positive tendency but slow progress towards equality. But the biggest gap is in the percentage of females in senior positions. Biases prevent upward mobility in the academic and research career. Further, clearly we observed a lack of specific national actions to ensure gender equality in decision-making positions in academia. Another observed indicator is that in some countries, the policies enforcement relies largely on academic institutions instead of a general plan of actions, and those were our main conclusions. Those were our main sources for this multi-country study. Finally, we would like to thank you for your attention and interest on this topic. In here, you can get more information about our activities and initiatives. Thank you so much.